Hello, tea family, and welcome back. No extra guest hidden in the background this week. He has arrived back home safely and gets to go to work tomorrow like the rest of the world. Thanks for joining us. Today we are going to be talking about water and simple tricks with water to help us have an even better tea experience. So please feel free to say hello in the chat or the comments. Let us know what you're drinking tonight. If you have any questions as we go along the way, feel free to go ahead and ask them in the chat or the comments, and I am happy to answer them. And even if you think about it later on in the week and you're like, I wish I could have asked that question, go ahead, shoot it out to me. I'll still be happy to answer in the chat or comments, depending on what platform. We are on multiple platforms all at the same time, live streaming. So I see my handy dandy assistant is here, and he has lemonade. He's drinking some pink lemonade today, although if you're expecting a super sweet lemonade, that is not what he's drinking. Basically, we drink pink water. Very, very little lemonade, lots of water. We keep the sugar down here, and so it's not lemonade like you would anticipate. If people come to our house, then we actually have to add more of the mix in because literally it's not even enough for a glass. So hello, welcome, and we are going to go ahead and get started now. I am going to start by making some Earl's Blend. I haven't had this one in a while, and I always try and think, what tea do I want? The problem is everybody has their favorite teas, and so sometimes there's too many teas to choose from, and I don't want to talk about a tea that you can't drink yet. You know, I looked and I saw some appealing, and I saw some holiday blend, and I was like, ooh, that sounds good. Except you can't have those yet because it's not September or October yet. So yes, I don't want to drink something, and so it's always a hard decision. But this is, as it drops, and I'm going to try and do this slowly. There we go. This is our Earl's Blend, our take on an Earl Grey. It smells amazing as soon as you open the tea, or in our case, the jar. But it is right there, and I just have to get the light right. It is a blend of black teas, and then we use some bergamot in there, and that is what I am going to make today. So I'm only going to make a cup. I was going to use a different teacup, but then it got really washed out with the white counter. And this is from our personal blend, which is why I'm okay to make a mess. Handy dandy assistant will help me clean it up later. Maybe. Could I have the kettle of water, please? So, this is one of the ones, it's funny, we have a lot of people, they love Earl's Blend. Oh, I love the smell of Earl's Blend, except they end up choosing different teas when they want to go try them. Now, we did previously boil this water, and I'm going to brew this for 3 minutes. Could I also get a small plate so that I could clean my mess here? That's the problem when we do this. I don't want to waste tea. It's even if it is our personal stash, which means I can touch it with my bare hands, but there we go. All right. Look at that. Earl's Blend, 3 minutes on the clock, and we're getting ready to roll. All right, so in the chat, I need you to answer this question. Have you ever had to try and bring water to a temperature other than boiling, and you didn't have a thermometer handy, or you didn't know how to do it with just your eyes? So let us know. Kim is drinking water tonight, but she had Irish Sunrise this morning. See, another nice, sturdy, wonderful black tea. Love that. So in the comments or the chat, put in, have you ever maybe wanted a green tea or a white tea or an oolong, and so it wasn't going to be boiled, but you just had like a traditional kettle or a pan, for whatever reason, you didn't have a thermometer. Have you ever tried to figure out what the water temperature is just with your eyes? That is one of the tips and tricks that I'm going to be going over tonight, as well as talking about some other stuff that has to do with water. Kim she sort of eyeballed it, and that's kind of what we're going to do tonight, but we're going to talk about it a little bit differently as soon as I make this tea. I'm going to make my tea so that way I can sip on it. And then I actually have a video of different stages of water, because there are different stages that you can look at. We're going to be doing some bubble watching. Other people call it eye watching. But we're going to do some, and I'm going to teach you the tricks of how to tell about what temperature the water is. So, and about what teas could be used in there. So, but I would do something fun like that. It's always good to know. You never know when, electronics can fail. Point in fact, we were recently away a couple weeks ago in Colorado and ran into a problem. The electric tea kettle that I had at work went into our camper because, again, not glass, but still has the temperature settings. And guess what? It didn't work. It doesn't stop when it gets to boiling. It started to have all these issues. And we were like, okay, so if I had done that, I do have a little kettle in the camper where I can just boil up standard, but it's harder to tell the temperature. And of course, we brought a wide variety of teas, including our son's favorite, which is Ancient Green Dragon. Little hint, I'm going to come back to something about our tea blends and something upcoming later. So I'm going to put this aside because I'll have 2 more brews out of that. Put that over there. Now, I am doing something a little unusual. I really like my Earl's blend with a little bit of milk in it. And if my handy dandy assistant could grab a spoon for me, one of my little pretty silver teaspoons, and this just says lighten up. It's just a really cute creamer that I got for 50 cents at someplace. I don't think it was a discount. I think that's a little bit big. They're up in the back. There we go. I think it was like could have been a Goodwill or a Salvation Army or something on that. Now, British, back and forth. US, we typically stir. But either way, 1 little drop. We're going to put this right here, and we are all set. But I do like milk in my hot tea, in my Earl blend when I am drinking it hot. So I'm going to say cheers. And then we are going to watch this video. And I will warn you. Okay, I'm going to add it in.
The mess, we're going to get started. This has,
there we go,
just a regular saucepan.
Just my stove.
And
everybody
forgive it. It's of water in here.
But what you're going to see here is I just put 2 cups of water in. And I did start a timer. Now we have a gas range, as you can tell.
We have a clock here,
and
it's going to give us a
timer. And then I started the timer.
I
was trying to get an approximate.
For tea. So many times people don't have an electric kettle.
The cover
and so if you were doing water, you would obviously,
most of the time if you're heating water up, you're going to cover it like that. But what we're going to be doing is
cover on it. But that's not really going to teach us anything, because we're going to look at the water and learn today how to look at it. And it's a little shiny in there, I get it. And I'm sure the camera is going to steam at one point, but we're going to keep going. So right now we are heating it up, and we're going to be looking at the bubbles in the water to kind of estimate what temperature the water is, so that we can get the perfect cup of tea. So I'm going to pause, and we are going to come back when we have our first set of water.
Or you have an electric stove. First of all, the bubbles are going to come out differently in the pan.
As you can see, we're starting to get tiny little bubbles around this.
They're going to come out differently, whereas you can start to see the bubbles.
For tea yet, but
I'll get closer and you'll see them better right around the edges where the ring is. See, I go in close.
Little bubbles.
It's on the outside because this is a gas range and it has the fire going around in a circle.
Initial bubbles.
And induction or electric, it's going to be a little more even, so you're going to see it throughout the pan. Either way, it's just where you watch, depends on the pan. And the time that it gets to these points is going to be different. But I thought, let's go. So when you see these are what are called initial bubbles. They're tiny little bubbles. They're about the size of a shrimp eye, which is why they're also called shrimp eyes. This is typically starts at like 160 degrees Fahrenheit, 70 degrees
we're a
Celsius.
little over 160 right now.
165.
It's right on
and I was going because the heat water was going on this one. So that is what it
you
is.
See how those bubbles are now getting bigger?
Those bubbles are going to get a little bit bigger. And as you can see up in the top right of that video,
the initial bubbles, otherwise called shrimp eyes. That's when we're about 160.
Growing bubbles.
Right now we are at what I would call the growing bubble stage. We're almost
this is roughly 175, 175 degrees Fahrenheit. You know, roughly 80 degrees.
See how those are bigger? And that's usually when we're about 175.
This next stage that you see, you're going to start to see rising bubbles. And these are your fish eyes. Your bubbles are going to get bigger, and they're going to
take this off the water for a second because we don't want to go through the stages too quick.
I did take it off the heat for a second. I wanted to kind of really show you kind of where we were temperature-wise. And so I took it off the heat because it was going so quick. And that's what happens when you're doing your water.
So there's 170. We're going to be right around 175. Very quickly creeping up to 180. So let's put this back on.
Like that first 2-3 minutes you can walk away.
And that's uncovered, and that is on a gas stove. So, you know, you do have to consider like adduction and different things. So we've immediately gone back. And now, as you can see,
rising up.
We've gone right there. We're going to look for the rising bubbles, which are fish eyes, and you can see them kind of popping and bubbling. And that means we're just shy of 6 minutes in,
and then we're about
that is about 185
now, this step right here is what we call the rope of pearls.
And the next thing you know is you see over here, we're starting to get that string of bubbles around the side. And we're starting to get the strings of bubbles bubbling straight up. That is the rope of pearls. This means we're somewhere between 190 and 205. Now, we are very rapidly approaching
and then we're going to just let this continue on to a full or violent boil.
And one of the tricks is you can't
people will call it a vigorous
stop it from
boil,
boiling when you stir. And so we are now at a very full
rolling boil. And this is when we're at 212 degrees.
If we want to go a little bit further, we're going to be at a full rolling boil. And this is very also called a violent boil.
As you can see, we went through those steps really quickly. I did not do a lot of time elapse in there. You didn't see it jumping around. But it's important. So when we are at that initial bubble stage, I just don't leave that up there. It looks kind of, well, I'll take it down. All right. So when we're at that initial bubble stage or the shrimp eye stage, that is perfect for white tea. And that's like 3 minutes, maybe 3.5 minutes. When I've boiled, when I've got a pan with 2 cups of water in it and I don't have a cover on my gas range. The growing bubbles, those are the crab eyes. This is about the 175 degree. Kind of almost goes up to 180. This is the crab eye stage. This is great for your delicate teas or your green teas. The next stage are the rising bubbles. Those are where you start, they start to bubble up and they're bigger. Those are your fish eyes. And that's roughly 185 degrees Fahrenheit. That is also going to be good for like a green tea that is not a delicate green tea. Maybe something that has like a freeze-dried fruit, like a lemon zinger or something on that idea. It's also good for some of your more delicate oolongs that you don't want to take to that next step. That rope of pearls, that is perfect. You're going to have the rope of pearls. You're going to have the bubbles kind of all around the edge of the pan. And you're going to have the ropes of bubbles coming up. That is roughly the 190 to 205. And that is perfect for an oolong tea. And then, of course, the full or violent boil or the vigorous boil, that is the full rolling boil, black teas, herbals, anything with a rooibos in it, and you are good to go. But here's something you might not realize. Let's say I wanted Serene Sunrise because we know it's a black tea and it's my favorite, right? And let's say I'm sitting and my friend wants an oolong tea. Now we've got an oolong blend that's coming up at our next live. And we have the holiday blend that has an oolong in it. So if they wanted that, the easiest way to do it is bring your water to a full rolling boil. Go ahead and start brewing your black tea or get that ready. and then wait 3.5 minutes on the clock, and it will have cooled from that 212 down to about 195-ish to 200, and depending on the container it's in. And that's going to be perfect for oolong. Now, I haven't timed it out to have a very specific for the other ones yet, but that is a way that you can boil water once and have 2 different temperatures, just as a little note in there. So I thought I would share that. Does anybody have any questions about that? Was that interesting to anybody? Okay, so I have one slight problem. Handy dandy assistant, I need my little remote thing. My remote so I can go up in my topics. It should be on the table by the desk. The little remote to advance my notes. It should be over there on the music hutch thing. There we go. All right. And so I do have something here that I use to advance my notes. And that is very helpful to me. And then I went to advance my notes and I couldn't do it. And yep, that's how my life is today. All right. So I'm glad that was helpful, Kim. I really thought, this is something that we would do, but nobody realizes it. Now I am going to show you one more video. This one isn't anywhere near as long, but it's going to show you the same thing, but in electric tea kettles. So if you have, okay, so here's my electric tea kettle. And really, what you're going to do is you can see we get the little strip eyes, which is great for our white teas, and it's heating up. So you can just watch your tea kettle. Let's say you have one that only boils, as long as it has a blast, through. And so, yep, see, Kim has one that says just to call it on or off. So she pretty much has to guess. Well, here's how you make a better educated guess. So this is where we're starting to get into the crab eyes. They're getting bigger. You have to really watch the bubbles themselves and make sure you're not watching where the heat is coming up. But see how those are getting bigger? Now we're at more of the fish eyes. They're starting to roll. The next step in just a second, and we will go to the you see it starting to boil. You see those fish eyes. They're starting to pop. There's starting to be movement in the bubbles as opposed to them just sitting there. Then this next one right here is, there we go. So this next one right here is where we're starting to get that rope. The bubbles are starting to come around the edges. We're starting to get some of the strings coming up right here. Yep, that's the rope of pearls. There's our oolong right there. And then we're going to go right into a full rolling boil. Obviously, we know what a full rolling boil looks like. That's usually the easiest one, but the others. So you can look at your tea kettle if it is glass and get a good idea. So I wanted to show you that as well. So it is something that you can do. The wrong temperature water can ruin your tea, even if it is this super high quality tea. It can make your green tea become bitter, your black tea not get full flavor. And that's one of the reasons why I'm spending this time today talking about the water. I want to make sure that you are aware of different tips and tricks like these so you can kind of make sure your water temperature is correct so you can have the best possible tea. Shrimp eyes. Okay, Kim, it is shrimp eyes, or the initial bubbles, the little tiny ones. They're minuscule on the top. That is typically the white. You can go into the crab eyes with the white, but that's okay. The rising bubbles and the fish eyes, that's good for a hearty green or oolong. The crab eyes are better for like a really delicate green tea. The rope of pearls is typically an oolong, and rolling is black, herbal, and rooibos. So the different levels. And if anybody wants that written down for them, just put it in the comments and I will go through and I will type it up and I will just comment you back or email you depending on how you want to do that. So this is one of the better ways to kind of guess, because you want to make sure that the tea is in the proper water. A lot of people are just like boiling water. I just boil my water and I put everything in there, and that's really going to scorch those delicate tea leaves. They're gonna just be burned, and they're gonna be very bitter, and it's not going to taste good. So a lot of people, this is why you will see on our teas, in our flyers that we put with our teas, on our new packaging, it's literally right on the label, why we give you an approximate water temperature as well as tea to water ratio, because we want to make sure that you are getting that tea at the perfect temperature. And then how long to brew it for each time. These are the things that really are helpful. And we do put it in the flyer, but sometimes those get lost. So that when we went to the new packaging, that's why we put it literally right on the label, so that if you keep your tea that way, it'll be on the labels. And speaking of things that are new and different right now, I did mention that we are going to have an oolong blend at our next live. That will be in August, coming up in about 2.5 weeks. It is going to be on a Friday evening. I want to say that it is the 15th. Whatever the Friday is, the 15th, the 16th, the 17th, whatever that Friday is when it's going to be. I will look it up at the end. You don't want to put the tea in the water cold and then heat it to boil. That just came in. We do not want to do that, because the tea is actually going to extract at the lower temperatures start, and it can, the longer it's in there, while it's getting that 3.5 minutes, plus then you're boiling it for the 3 minutes, it is really going to cause an issue. It is going to become much more bitter and overbrew, and it's going to have higher tannic acid, and nobody wants that. So do not put the tea in the water cold and then heat it up. Hi, Diane. Welcome. She's drinking lemon zinger today. That is awesome. A nice summer blend. Let's see. So that is why I wanted to go through and really kind of talk about these. And it sounds funny, because what you see in the Chinese culture is they had the shrimp eye, the crab eye, the fish eye, the ring of pearls, and then the boil, the full boil. And so it's very eyes and fish and things like that. For us, it's like the initial bubbles, and then the growing bubbles, the rising bubbles. The idea is you find that size and you will know approximately your temperature. Now, when I tried this, because I tried it a couple of different times, I was within 5 degrees. I was within 5 degrees of what I thought it was. Being off with your tea by 5 degrees isn't a big deal. Being off by 10 or 15, believe it or not, is. So it'll get you in a really good sweet spot by watching. So that is hopefully helpful for you as well. Let's see. Yes. So our live will be on August 15th. It's a Friday. It is going to be at 7 p.m. Central, so that's 8 p.m. Eastern time. And we are going to have, we actually worked out already. It's usually not quite as advanced, but there's going to be the oolong blend that'll be available only at that live. There will be another tea blend that has been created that will be available only on that live. But there is also something really special in the works that I wanted to share with you. And that is, we are going to be premiering some of our gift boxes that we are setting up for the holiday season. I know it's the end of July. I realize that, but to me, it's almost September. And here's why. We really only have August left to do a few things to prep. Once we hit the beginning of September, we are very busy with event season, because people start to buy for Christmas and the holidays and different things like that. And so we typically have to get everything ready. I know that there's a couple people who are live right now that are looking forward to Appealing coming out again, which is our apple black cinnamon tea. And so we've got to get all that ready now. And so for us, I'm like, oh my goodness, we're there. Well, one of the things that we decided to do is we're going to have in some of our gift boxes, not all of them, we've kind of decided what's going to be where, but one of them is going to be kind of a self-care comfort gift box that's going to have tea. It's going to have some tea supplies in it. But one of the things it's also going to have in some of them is a homemade soap, like you scrub with, that is made from or made with, for the fragrance, one of our tea blends. Maybe even 2 different soaps, but there'll be at least a soap. It's being custom created just for us. We handed off, or we'll be handing off, our tea, and they will use that to both scent the soap and to add to the soap, because that's one of the benefits of having organic, non-GMO food quality teas is we can put them in the soap and it's not going to do anything bad, but it will benefit your skin. So we've got another small business, a really delightful lady, and she is custom making teas. Now, what I would love for you to do is in the comments or chat, I want you to put down which tea blend you think is going to be in that box, in that soap. I'm going to give you a few moments. I'm really curious. Go ahead. I will announce it at the live next week, but I am curious to see what you think we chose to be in the soaps. I will admit that there are only so many soap bars that are being made, and I am keeping one for myself. I know my handy dandy assistant will probably steal one, but the rest are all going into some of these gift boxes that we will have at events. These will not be online. So the only way to get them online, or the only way to get them will be at this live sale on the 15th of August or at one of our events physically. And that is because the mail and heat and different things like that. So Diane is guessing lemon zinger. That was in there. We thought about that one, but that is not what we went with. So there you go. There's a hint, everybody. But we wanted to go ahead and do this. Now, I will tell you there will also be there will be 2 tea blends in there. And another one of our gift boxes will have a candle that has one of our scents in it. So you can kind of enjoy the idea of relaxing and different things that you could kind of put in. The whole idea is that it's a tea time, that you're going to sit down, and we've talked about, like, you know, some people call it mindfulness, some people call it meditation, some people call it just that peace and quiet and that thing. And so one of the things that they're going to do is we're taking a tea that is only usually available, for the second tea is only usually available in our Advent tin, and we're going to use that one to make with candles, very much in the same way that it's going to go into the soap. So handy dandy assistant said, what if I know people to get a bar? Well, you can always try, but this custom tea based soap that this lady is creating will only be available to us because it's our custom blend. And so we thought this would be just a really fun way of showing you, like, you can use your tea for other things. We did give her tea that had not been consumed. It's the same stuff that you would drink, but we thought that would be a really fun thing to do this year for some gift boxes, because one of the things is people are always like, well, I don't know what kind they like. They want to get a couple. And the gift boxes we're hoping will do well. One of them is really exciting. I will tell you, when I get excited about something, it's really hard to keep it a secret. I will tell you that there are going to be a couple different kinds, but one of the things that we looked at for gift boxes is a tea mocktail box, which will have teas in it, but also some other things. So you can make some of the tea mocktails that we make live or create your own. There will be recipe cards. There'll be all sorts of things in there. But those are some of the things that we're working on. Like I said, they will be available at that live sale on that Friday, and then they'll be available on at our events. So that is what we're gonna do. Do not lick the soap. We're not licking soap. I do remember having my mouth washed out with soap because I think I said damn as a child. I remember being like 5 or 6 and having soap in my mouth, and like I would not recommend that for anyone. But any other questions? I know we went through it. Hopefully this was helpful for you in knowing what kind of water, what temperature the water is, generally speaking. Like I said, just by looking at the bubbles, you can really determine within 5 degrees of where you are. So any other questions while I take a sip of my Earl's blend? Give you a chance to ask any other questions before we part for the week. And I gave you a bunch of secrets about what's coming up, but that's one of the benefits of being live on a Sunday, is as I get excited about different things. I think there will be definitely some things that surprise you in the gift boxes. We've definitely created some different ones at different levels, different price points for people to really be able to enjoy. But I am super excited about the soap. The thing is, it's going to be made over the next week and a half, and then you will it takes 4 weeks to cure the soap, so you can use it before then. But if you wait the 4 weeks for the soap to cure, then the soap will go further. You'll get more washes and things like that out of it. So, but her information and all that will be on there. I personally use her soaps. I love her stuff. It's beautiful. But all right, well, I don't see any other questions, so I want to say thanks for joining us. Next week, we're going to be talking about Summer Kiss. I know I've talked about it before, but we're going to talk about a couple of unique things, and we're going to do something special next week with Summer Kiss. So hopefully I will see you there. And that is next Sunday at 6 p.m. Central. Other than that, I hope everybody has a wonderful week. There's no more rain, and it cools down a little bit so that everybody has a wonderful, beautiful temperature. All right. I will see everybody later. Have a good one. All right.